Slumdog Millionaire is a 2008 British drama film directed by Danny Boyle, written by Simon Beaufoy, and co-directed in India by Loveleen Tandan. It is an adaptation of the novel Q&A by Indian author and diplomat Vikas Swarup. Set and filmed in India, the film tells the story of Jamal Malik, a young man from the Juhu slums of Mumbai who appears on the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And exceeds people's expectations, thereby arousing the suspicions of cheating. Jamal recounts in flashback how he knows the answer to each question, each one linked to a key event in his life. After its world premiere at Telluride Film Festival and later screenings at the Toronto International Film Festival and the London Film Festival, Slumdog Millionaire had a nationwide grand release in the United Kingdom on 9 January 2009 and in the United States on 23 January 2009. It premiered in Mumbai on 22 January 2009. A sleeper hit, Slumdog Millionaire was widely acclaimed, being praised for its plot, soundtrack and directing. In addition, it was nominated for 10 Academy Awards in 2009, winning 8, the most for any film of 2008, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It also won 7 BAFTA Awards, 5 Critics' Choice Awards, and 4 Golden Globes. Plot: in 2006, 18-year-old Jamal Malik, a former street child from the Juhu slum, is a contestant on the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And is one question away from the grand prize. However, before the 20 million question, he is detained and molested by the police, who suspect him of cheating because of the impossibility of a simple slumdog with very little education knowing all the answers. Jamal recounts, through flashbacks, the incidents in his life which provided him with each answer. These flashbacks tell the story of Jamal, his brother Salim, and Latika. In each flashback Jamal has a point to remember one person, or song, or different things that lead to the right answer of one of the questions. The row of questions does not correspond chronologically to Jamal's life, so the story switches between different periods of Jamal. Some questions do not refer to points of his life, but by witness he comes to the right answer. Jamal's flashbacks begin with his managing, at age 5, to obtain the autograph of Bollywood star Amitabh Bachchan, which his brother then sells, followed immediately by the death of his mother during the Bombay riots. As they flee the riot, they run into a child version of the god Rama. Salim and Jamal then meet Latika, another child from their slum. Salim is reluctant to take her in, but Jamal suggests that she could be the third musketeer, a character from the Alexander Dumas novel, whose name they do not know. The three are found by Maman, a gangster who tricks and then trains street children into becoming beggars. When Jamal, Salim, and Latika learn Maman is blinding children in order to make them more effective as singing beggars, they flee by jumping onto a departing train. Latika catches up and takes Salim's hand, but Salim purposely lets go, and she is recaptured by the gangsters. Over the next few years, Salim and Jamal make a living traveling on top of trains, selling goods, picking pockets, working as dishwashers, and pretending to be tour guides at the Taj Mahal, where they steal people's shoes. At Jamal's insistence, they return to Mumbai to find Latika, discovering from Arvind, one of the singing beggars, that she had been raised by Maman to become a prostitute and that her virginity is expected to fetch a high price. The brothers rescue her, and Salim draws a gun and kills Maman. Salim then manages to get a job with Javed, Maman's rival crime lord. Arriving at their hotel room, Salim orders Jamal to leave him and Latika alone. When Jamal refuses, Salim draws a gun on him, and Jamal leaves after Latika persuades him to go away. Years later, while working as a tea server at an Indian call center, Jamal searches the center's database for Salim and Latika. He fails in finding Latika but succeeds in finding Salim, who is now a high-ranking lieutenant in Javed's organization, and they reunite. Salim is regretful for his past actions and only pleads for forgiveness when Jamal physically attacks him. Jamal then bluffs his way into Javed's residence and reunites with Latika. While Jamal professes his love for her, Latika asks him to forget about her. Jamal promises to wait for her every day at 5 o'clock at the VT station. Latika attempts to rendezvous with him, but she is recaptured by Javd's men, led by Salim. Jamal loses contact with Latika when Javd moves to another house, outside Mumbai. Knowing that Latika watches it regularly, Jamal attempts to make contact with her again by becoming a contestant on the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? He makes it to the final question, despite the hostile attitude of the show's host, Prem Kumar, and becomes a wonder across India. Kumar feeds Jamal the incorrect response to the penultimate question and, when Jamal still gets it right, turns him in to the police on suspicion of cheating. Back in the interrogation room, the police inspector calls Jamal's explanation bizarrely plausible, but thinks he is not a liar and, ripping up the arrest warrant, allows him to return to the show. At Javd's safe house, Latika watches the news coverage of Jamal's miraculous run on the show. Salim, in an effort to make amends for his past behavior, quietly gives Latika his mobile phone and car keys, and asks her to forgive him and to go to Jamal. Latika, though initially reluctant out of fear of Javd, agrees and escapes. Salim fills a bathtub with cash and sits in it, waiting for the death he knows will come when Javd discovers what he has done. Jamal's final question is, by coincidence, the name of the third musketeer in the Three Musketeers, a fact he never learned. Jamal uses his phone a friend lifeline to call Salim's cell, as it is the only phone number he knows. Latika succeeds in answering the phone just in the nick of time, and, while she does not know the answer, tells Jamal that she is safe. Relieved, Jamal randomly picks Aramis, the right answer, and wins the grand prize. Simultaneously, Javd discovers that Salim has helped Latika escape after he hears Latika on the show. He and his men break down the bathroom door, and Salim kills Javd, before being gunned down himself at the hands of Javd's men. With his dying breath, Salim gasps, "God is great." Later that night, Jamal and Latika meet at the railway station and kiss. The movie ends with a dance scene on the platform to Juhu. Cast: Dev Patel as Jamal Malik, the protagonist, a boy born and raised in the poverty of Bombay, Mumbai. Boyle considered hundreds of young male actors, and he found the Bollywood leads were generally strong, handsome hero types. Boyle's daughter pointed Dev Patel out from his role in the British television ensemble drama Skins and Ashmesh Khadeka as youngest Jamal, to now Chheda as teenage Jamal. Frieda Pinto as Latika, Jamal's love interest. Pinto was an Indian model who had not starred in a feature film before. Regarding the one-of-a-kind scarf she wears, designer Sutarat Ann Lilip says, "I wanted to bookend the journey to tie her childhood yellow dress to her final look." Rubina Ali as youngest Latika. Tanvi Ganesh Lonka as teenage Latika. Madhur Mittal as Salim K. Malik, Jamal's elder brother. Azharuddin Muhammad Ismail as youngest Salim. Ashutosh Loba Gajiwala as teenage Salim. Anil Kapoor as Prem Kumar, the game show host. Boyle initially wanted Indian actor Shah Rukh Khan to play the role, but things did not work out. Khan had hosted the 2007 series of Kaun Banega Crorepati, the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Kapoor has also starred as a guest on the show with Amitabh Bachchan and won Rs 5 million. Irfan Khan is the police inspector, Saurabh Shaikla as head constable Srinivas, Maresh Manrekar as Javed Khan, the crime boss and the main antagonist. Ankur Vaikal as Maman, Rajendranath Zachi as the millionaire show producer, Sankita Chudhary as Jamal and Salim's mother, Mia Drake and Abit Singh as Adele, American Tourist, Shanju Ramanathan as Arvind, Blind Beggar Boy, Afi Lamba as Bardi, Shruti Seth as voice accent trainer. Production. Screenwriter Simon Beaufoy wrote Slumdog Millionaire based on the Book Prize-winning and Commonwealth Writers' Prize-nominated novel Q&A by Vikas Swarup. To hone the script, Beaufoy made 3 research trips to India and interviewed street children, finding himself impressed with their attitudes. The screenwriter said of his goal for the script, "I wanted to get the sense of this huge amount of fun, laughter, chat, and sense of community that is in these slums. What you pick up on is this massive energy." By the summer of 2006, British production companies Telluride Films and Film 4 Productions invited director Danny Boyle to read the script of Slumdog Millionaire. Boyle hesitated, since he was not interested in making a film about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which was produced by Celador. Then Boyle learned that the screenwriter was Beaufoy, who had written The Full Monty, one of the director's favorite British films, and decided to revisit the script. Boyle was impressed by how Beaufoy wove the multiple storylines from Swarup's book into one narrative, and the director decided to commit to the project. The film was projected to cost $15 a million, so Celador sought a U.S. film distributor to share costs. The $2 a million offer made by Fox Searchlight Pictures fell far short of what producer Christian Colson was asking for. Warner Independent Pictures offered $5 a million and won rights to the picture. Gail Stevens came on board to oversee casting globally. Stevens had worked with Boyle throughout his career and was well known for discovering new talent. Meredith Tucker was appointed to cast out of the U.S. The filmmakers then traveled to Mumbai in September 2007 with a partial crew and began hiring local cast and crew for production in Kudjat. Originally appointed as one of the 5 casting directors in India, Loveleen Tandan has stated, "I suggested to Danny and Simon Beaufoy, the writer of Slumdog, that it was important to do some of it in Hindi to bring the film alive. They asked me to pen the Hindi dialogues which I, of course, instantly agreed to do. And as we drew closer to the shoot date, Danny asked me to step in as the co-director." Boyle then decided to translate nearly a third of the film's English dialogue into Hindi. The director fibbed to Warner Independent's president that he wanted 10% of the dialogue in Hindi, and she approved of the change. Filming locations included shooting in Mumbai's Mega Slum and in shanty-town parts of Juhu, so filmmakers controlled the crowds by befriending onlookers. Filming began on 5 November 2007. In addition to Swarup's original novel Kaun, the film was also inspired by Indian cinema. Tandan has referred to Slumdog Millionaire as a homage to Hindi commercial cinema, noting that Simon Beaufoy studied Salim Javed's kind of cinema minutely. Boyle has cited the influence of several Bollywood films set in Mumbai. Satya and company both offered slick, often mesmerizing portrayals of the Mumbai underworld, and displayed realistic brutality and urban violence. Boyle has also stated that the chase in one of the opening scenes of Slumdog Millionaire was based on a 12-minute police chase through the crowded Dharavi slum in Black Friday. D-War, which Boyle described as being absolutely key to Indian cinema, is a crime film based on the Bombay gangster Haji Mastan, portrayed by Bollywood superstar Amitabh Bachchan, whose autograph Jamal seeks at the beginning of Slumdog Millionaire. Anil Kapoor noted that some scenes of the film are like D-War, the story of 2 brothers of whom one is completely after money while the younger one is honest and not interested in money. Boyle has cited other Indian films as influences in later interviews. The rags to riches, underdog theme was also a recurring theme in classic Bollywood movies from the 1950s through to the 1980s, when India worked to lift itself from hunger and poverty. Other classic Bollywood tropes in the film include the fantasy sequences, and the montage sequence where the brothers jump off a train and suddenly they are 7 years older. The producer's first choice for the role of Prem Kumar was Shah Rukh Khan, an established Bollywood star and host of the 2007 series of Kaun Banega Crorepati. However, Khan turned down the role, concerned that he did not want to give his audience the impression that the real show was a fraud by playing a fraud host in the movie. Despite the subsequent success of the film, Khan has stated that he does not regret turning the role down and has been a vociferous supporter of the film to its critics. Paul Smith, the executive producer of Slumdog Millionaire and the chairman of Celador Films, previously owned the international rights to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Release and box office performance. In August 2007, Warner Independent Pictures acquired the North American rights and Patha copyright the international rights to distribute Slumdog Millionaire theatrically. However, in May 2008, Warner Independent Pictures was shut down, with all of its projects being transferred to Warner Brothers, its parent studio. Warner Brothers doubted the commercial prospects of Slumdog Millionaire and suggested that it would go straight to DVD without a U.S. theatrical release. In August 2008, the studio began searching for buyers for various productions, to relieve its overload of end-of-the-year films. Halfway through the month, Warner Brothers entered into a pact with Fox Searchlight Pictures to share distribution of the film, with Fox Searchlight buying 50% of Warner Brothers' interest in the movie and handling U.S. distribution. Following its success at the 81st Academy Awards, the film topped the worldwide box office, grossing $16 million from 34 markets in the week following the Academy Awards. Worldwide, the film has currently grossed over $377 million, becoming Fox Searchlight Pictures' highest-grossing film ever. Australia. The Australian 2008 release of Slumdog Millionaire was produced by Icon Film Distribution. North America. Slumdog Millionaire was first shown at the Telluride Film Festival on 30 August 2008, where it was positively received by audiences, generating strong buzz. The film also screened at the Toronto International Film Festival on 7 September 2008, where it was the first widely acknowledged popular success of the festival, winning the People's Choice Award. Slumdog Millionaire debuted with a limited North American release on November 12, 2008, followed by a nationwide release in the United States on 23 January 2009. After debuting on a Wednesday, the film grossed $360,018 in 10 theaters in its first weekend, a strong average of $36,002 per theater. In its second weekend, it expanded to 32 theaters and made $947,795, or an average of $29,619 per theater, representing a drop of only 18%. In the 10 original theaters that it was released in, viewership went up 16%, and this is attributed to strong word of mouth. The film expanded into wide release on December 25, 2008 at 614 theaters and earned $5,647,007 over the extended Christmas weekend. Following its success at the 81st Academy Awards, the film's takings increased by 43%, the most for any film since Titanic. In the weekend of 27 February to 1 March, the film reached its widest release at 2,943 theaters. The film has grossed over $140 million at the North American box office. The film was released on DVD and Blu-ray in the United States on March 31, 2009. The film opened at number 2 in the DVD sales chart, making $14.16 million off 842,000 DVD units. As of November 12, 2009, an estimated 1,964,962 DVD units have been sold, translating to $31.32 million in revenue. This figure does not include Blu-ray sales DVD rentals. It has previously been announced that 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment would be starting a new marketing program with 2 versions of each release, a stripped-down minimal version for the rental market, and a traditional full version with bonus extra features, such as commentary and making of material for the retail market. The release production was mixed up. Some full versions were shipped in rental cases, and some retail versions were missing the extras despite their being listed on the outside of the box. Public apologies were issued by Fox and Amazon. Europe. The film was released in the United Kingdom on January 9, 2009, and opened at number 2 at the UK box office. The film reached number 1 in its second weekend and set a UK box office record, as the film's takings increased by 47%. This is the biggest ever increase for a UK saturation release, breaking the record previously held by Billy Elliot's 13%. This record-breaking ticket surge in the second weekend came after Slumdog Millionaire won 4 Golden Globes and received 11 BAFTA nominations. The film grossed £6.1 million in its first 11 days of release in the UK. The takings increased by another 7% the following weekend, bringing the film's gross up to £10.24 million for its first 17 days in the UK, and up to £14.2 million in its third week. As of February 20, 2009, the film's UK box office gross was £22,973,110, making it the 8th biggest hit at UK cinemas of the past 12 months. In the week ending 1 March 2009, following its success at the 81st Academy Awards where it won 8 Oscars, The film returned to number 1 at the UK box office, grossing £26 a million as of 2 March 2009. As of May 17, 2009, the total UK gross was over £31.6 a million. The film was released on DVD and Blu-ray on June 1, 2009. The film's success at the Academy Awards led to it seeing large increases in takings elsewhere in Europe the following week. Its biggest single country increase was in Italy, where it was up 556% from the previous week. The takings in France and Spain also increased by 61% and 73% respectively. During the same week, the film debuted in other European countries with successful openings. In Croatia it grossed $170,419 from 10 screens, making it the biggest opening there in the last 4 months. And in Poland it opened in second place with a gross of $715,677. The film was released in Sweden on March 6, 2009 and in Germany on 19 March 2009. India. In India, the premiere of Slumdog Millionaire took place in Mumbai on 22 January 2009 and was attended by major personalities of the Indian film industry, with more than 100 attending this event. A dubbed Hindi version, Slumdog Crorepati, was also released in India in addition to the original version of the film. Originally titled Slumdog Millionaire, Kaun Banega Crorepati, the name was shortened for legal reasons. Loveleen Tandan, who supervised the dubbing, stated, "All the actors from the original English including Anil Kapoor, IRRFA and Khan and Anchor Vikal dubbed the film. We got a boy from Kemba, Pradeep Matwani to dub for the male-led Dev Patel. I didn't want any exaggerated dubbing. I wanted a young and spoiled voice." Fox Searchlight released 351 prints of the film across India for its full release there on 23 January 2009. It earned $23,545,665 in its first week at the Indian box office, or $2.2 a million according to Fox Searchlight. Though not as successful as major Bollywood releases in India during its first week, this was the highest weekend gross for any Fox film and the third highest for any Western release in the country, trailing only Spider-Man 3 and Casino Royale. In its second week, the film's gross rose to $30,470,752 at the Indian box office. A few analysts have offered their opinions about the film's performance at the Indian box office. Trade analyst Kamal Natar commented, "There was a problem with the title itself. Slumdog is not a familiar word for majority Indians." In addition, trade analyst Ahmad Mu has stated that with the exception of Anil Kapoor, a film lacks recognizable stars and that the film is not ideally suited for Indian sentiment. A cinema owner commented that to hear slum boys speaking perfect English doesn't seem right, but when they are speaking in Hindi, the film seems much more believable. The dubbed Hindi version, Slumdog Crorepati, did better at the box office, and additional copies of that version were released. Following the film's success at the 81st Academy Awards, the film's takings in India increased by 470% the following week, bringing its total up to $6.3 a million that week. As of 15 March 2009, Slumdog Crorepati had grossed $158,613,802 at the Indian box office. Asia Pacific. The film's success at the Academy Awards led to it seeing large increases in takings in the Asia-Pacific region. In Australia, the takings increased by 53%, bringing the film up to second place there. In Hong Kong, the film debuted taking $1 a million in its opening weekend, making it the second biggest opening of the year there. The film was released in Japan on 18 April 2009, South Korea on 19 March 2009, China on 26 March 2009, Vietnam on 10 April 2009, and 11 April 2009 in the Philippines. In particular, the film was a major success in East Asia. In the People's Republic of China, the film grossed $2.2 a million in its opening weekend. In Japan, the film grossed $12 a million, the most the film has grossed in any Asian country. Reaction, critical reception. Slumdog Millionaire was critically acclaimed, named in the top 10 list of various newspapers. On 22 February 2009, the film won 8 out of 10 Academy Awards for which it was nominated, including the Best Picture and Best Director. It is the 8th film ever to win 8 Academy Awards and the 11th Best Picture Oscar winner without a single acting nomination. At the same time, Tar Zameen Par, India's submission for the Academy Award for Best Foreign Film, failed to make the short list of nominations and was frequently compared with Slumdog Millionaire in the Indian media. The film also won 7 of the 11 BAFTA awards for which it was nominated, including Best Film. All 4 of the Golden Globe Awards for which it was nominated, including Best Drama Film. And 5 of the 6 Critics' Choice Awards for which it was nominated. The much-acclaimed title sequence has been honored by a nomination at the prestigious 2009 Rush's Soho Shorts Film Festival in the Broadcast Design Award category in competition with the likes of The Match of the Day Euro 2008 titles by Aardman and 2 projects by Agenda Collective. Reactions from outside India. Slumdog Millionaire was met with near-universal critical acclaim. As of July 5, 2012, Rotten Tomatoes has given the film a 94% rating with 210 of fresh and 14 rotten reviews. The average score is 8.2/10. At Metacritic, which assigns a normalized rating out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, the film has received an average score of 86, based on 36 reviews. Movie City News shows that the film appeared in 123 different top 10 lists, out of 286 different critics' lists surveyed, the third most mentions on a top 10 list of any film released in 2008. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 4 out of 4 stars, stating that it is a breathless, exciting story, heartbreaking and exhilarating. Wall Street Journal critic Joe Morgenstern refers to Slumdog Millionaire as a film world's first globalized masterpiece. Ann Hornaday of The Washington Post argues that, this modern-day rags-to-raja fable won the Audience Award at the Toronto International Film Festival earlier this year, and it's easy to see why. With its timely setting of a swiftly globalizing India and, more specifically, the country's own version of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire TV show, combined with timeless melodrama and a hard-working orphan who withstands all manner of setbacks, Slumdog Millionaire plays like Charles Dickens for the 21st century. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times describes the film as a Hollywood-style romantic melodrama that delivers major studio satisfactions in an ultra-modern way, and a story of star-crossed romance that the original Warner Brothers would have embraced, shamelessly pulling out stops that you wouldn't think anyone would have the nerve to attempt anymore. Anthony Lane of The New Yorker stated, "There is a mismatch here." Boyle and his team, headed by the director of photography, Anthony Dodd Mantle, clearly believe that a city like Mumbai, with its shifting skyline and a population of more than 15 million, is as ripe for storytelling as Dickens's London. At the same time, the story they chose is sheer fantasy, not in its glancing details but in its emotional momentum. How else could Boyle get away with assembling his cast for a Bollywood dance number, at a railroad station, over the closing credits? You can either chide the film, at this point, for relinquishing any claim to realism, or you can go with the flow. Surely the wiser choice. Co-Mandu of the Manx Independent was also full of praise, saying the film successfully mixes hard-hitting drama with uplifting action, and the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show is an ideal device to revolve events around. Several other reviewers have described Slumdog Millionaire as a Bollywood-style Maisla movie, due to the way the film combines familiar raw ingredients into a feverish Maisla, and culminates in the romantic leads finding each other. Other critics offered more mixed reviews. For example, Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, stating that despite the extravagant drama and some demonstrations of the savagery meted out to India's street children, this is a cheerfully undemanding and unreflective film with a vision of India that, if not touristy exactly, is certainly an outsider's view. It depends for its full enjoyment on not being taken too seriously. He also pointed out that the film is co-produced by Celador, who own the rights to the original Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and claimed that it functions as a feature-length product placement for the program. A few critics outright panned it. Mick Larsol of the San Francisco Chronicle states that, Slumdog Millionaire has a problem in its storytelling. The movie unfolds in a start-and-stop way that kills suspense, leans heavily on flashbacks and robs the movie of most of its velocity. Whole construction is tied to a gimmicky narrative strategy that keeps Slumdog Millionaire from really hitting its stride until the last 30 minutes. By then, it's just a little too late. Eric Hines of IndieWire called it bombastic, a noisy, sub-Dickens update on the romantic tramp's tale, and a goofy picaresque to rival Forrest Gump in its morality and romanticism. Film master Adam from www.abocinema.com lambasted the film, the praise it received, and the Academy Awards for giving it the most attention over other movies he personally favored that year, criticizing various coincidences in the storytelling and using the theme on destiny as an excuse for the plot structure to be all over the place, underdeveloped characters, generic cinematography, inaccuracies to the requirements necessary to participate in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? In real life, compared Danny Boyle's directing style to that of Michael Bay, and the fact that it was advertised as a feel-good movie despite the subject matter it portrayed. Reactions from India and the Indian diaspora. Slumdog Millionaire has been a subject of discussion among a variety of people in India and the Indian diaspora. Some film critics have responded positively to the film. At the same time, others objected to issues such as Jamal's use of British English or the fact that similar films by Indian filmmakers have not received equal recognition. A few notable filmmakers such as Amir Khan and Priyadarshan have been critical of the film. Author and critic Salman Rushdie argues that it has a patently ridiculous conceit. Adoor Gopalakrishnan, arguably the most acclaimed filmmaker in India, a 5-time Best Director Award winner of the Indian National Film Awards the highest film awards in India lambasted Slumdog Millionaire, calling it in an interview to NDTV, a very anti-Indian film. All the bad elements of Mumbai commercial cinema are put together and in a very slick way. And it underlines and endorses what the West thinks about of us. It is falsehood built up on falsehood. And at every turn is fabricated. At every turn it is built on falsehood. I was ashamed to see it was being appreciated widely in the West. Fortunately Indians are turning it down. Academic criticism. The film has been subject to serious academic criticism. Michu Sengupta raises substantial doubts about both the realism of the film's portrayal of urban poverty in India and whether the film will assist those arguing for the poor. Rather, Sengupta argues the film's reductive view of such slums is likely to reinforce negative attitudes to those who live there. The film is therefore likely to support policies that have tended to further dispossess the slum dwellers in terms of material goods, power and dignity. The film, it is also suggested, celebrates characters in places that might be seen as symbolic of Western culture and models of development. However, there are others who point to the changing urban aspirations and prospects for mobility that can be seen in Indian cities such as Mumbai in which the film is set. The film is seen by D. Parthasarathy as reflecting a larger context of global cultural flows, which implicates issues of labor, status, ascription achievement, and poverty in urban India. Parthasarathy argues for a better understanding of issues of dignity of labor and that the film should be interpreted in a more nuanced way as reflecting the role of market forces and India unregistered trademark's new service economy in transforming the caste and status-determined opportunity structure in urban India. Controversies. Slumdog Millionaire has stirred controversy on a few issues including the welfare and illegal housing of its child actors and its portrayals of Indian communities. Soundtrack. The Slumdog Millionaire soundtrack was composed by A. R. Rahman, who planned the score for over 2 months and completed it in 2 weeks. Danny Boyle has said that he chose Rahman because not only does he draw on Indian classical music, but he's got R&B and hip-hop coming in from America, house music coming in from Europe, and this incredible fusion is created. Rahman won the 2009 Golden Globe Award for Best Original Score and won 2 out of 3 nominations for the Academy Awards, including 1 for Best Original Score and 1 for Best Original Song for Juhu. The song Oh Sour got a nomination shared with MIA, and the song Juhu won the Oscar, which Rahman shared with lyricist Gulzar. The soundtrack was released on MIA's record label and EET on Radio Sargam. Film critic Gohar Iqbal Pun termed the soundtrack Rahman's magnum opus, which will acquaint the entire world with his artistry. Notes. References. External links, official website, Slumdog Millionaire at the Internet Movie Database, Slumdog Millionaire at the American Film Institute Catalog, Slumdog Millionaire at AllMovie, Slumdog Millionaire at Box Office Mojo, Slumdog Millionaire at Metacritic, Slumdog Millionaire at Rotten Tomatoes.